So according to our documentation, we're going to have a grid and we're going to have a ball. And I'm thinking maybe we should make this paddle first. So then we'll make the ball maybe, and then perhaps make the rectangles last, or the bricks. And you know, with these sort of things, you always kind of want to, or maybe we'll make the menu first. But you want to prioritize so you can kind of know the plan of attack, and each game that you make is going to be different. So since this is fairly simple, you know, we don't have to put a lot of thought into it, but we still have to put some thought into it. So I'm probably going to make this paddle first, and then we'll go move on to the ball. So here we are inside of the project we left off in the last video, and now we can go ahead and start coding in the code behind. So I'm going to go ahead and go over here, make sure everything is saved by hitting Control S. I'm going to go to the code behind by hitting this tab. If you don't see that tab there, just go over here to the right hand side and double click on the VB script right underneath the main window. Now in here is where we're going to go ahead and start off by actually creating a sub new. So we're going to go ahead and type sub new, and this is going to be our constructor. This is what's going to run when the application first begins. And so this is where I actually want to start creating my loop. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to go ahead and call this game loop. So I'm going to call it, say dim game loop as new dispatcher timer. And you're not going to get anything from this because we have to import something first. So we have to import something called it's a threading. So it's imports. We're going to go system dot window, and then threading, and then this would work. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and go inside of the constructor and initiate that. So I'm going to say game loop, this right here, game loop dot intervals. So I'm going to set the intervals. This is the timer, and I need to give that a time span. So if I put my mouse over here, you'll see that it asks for a time span. Dispatcher timer intervals as a time span. So that tells me I need a time span for this, and time span is a static is a static class, which means I can call it directly like I am right now. And I'm going to say from milliseconds right there, and I'm going to feed it 1 millisecond, and that's set right there. Now the next thing I need to do is add a handler to this. So I'm going to go add handler, and I'm going to say game loop, and I'm going to add that to the tick property, and then I'm going to say address of. Now the address of is the function or procedure that will run when the timer starts. So I'm going to give that function a name, update loop. So every time this function runs, this will update. Now all I need to do is go ahead and create this procedure. So I'm going to probably put that just right here because it really doesn't matter right now. And if you notice, I put all of this above the initialized components only because this is not really associated with the user interface, the design. I always like to suggest, though, putting everything inside of here, inside of the sub new, underneath the initialized component, just to be safe in the future. So now I'm going to go ahead and make my private sub, and it's going to be called update loop. And then inside of that, I'm going to click that. Inside of that, it's going to take this handler, which is a dispatcher timer. So inside of this, I'm going to give it its proper signature, and it's a sender as an object. And then it also takes an event args. I'm just put E as event args. So now I'm ready to run this. I'm gonna just quickly do a test on here. Say console.writeLine. I'm gonna just do a console write line test to just make sure that I am receiving some information from here. I just typed anything, doesn't really matter. I hit play, check down here my output, and I'm not getting anything. And I knew I wouldn't get anything, but I just wanted to show you, even after setting it up, we're not going to get anything because we never told the timer to start. So let's go ahead and close this. We're going to leave all of this the way it is, and it all depends on when we want our timer to start. So we're going to want our timer to start immediately because we're doing this test. But as we start developing things, we're probably going to want it to start later. So right now I'm going to go ahead and call the game loop, and I'm going to click start. Now with that up there, now we're going to check it again. We're going to run it again. And let's see what happens. And there it is. Now you can see the difference from before. Now it's constantly writing that out because it's acting on the timer ticks. So I'll go ahead and stop that. And then go ahead and take this test out. So we got our game loop set up. We're ready to start programming some other concepts inside of this game. I'll see you guys in the next video.